so much. Dear friends, it is wonderful to be back in Sedona, here in the beautiful Boynton Canyon, at my favorite annual gathering. I first came here a decade ago, like many of you, at the invitation of Senator John McCain, and I never missed a Sedona forum since, with the exception of 3, for reasons that were beyond my control. 44 years ago, Ronald Reagan gave what I consider to be one of the most eloquent, principled, and consequential speeches in U.S. presidential history. His Westminster address reads just as topically today as it did when he delivered it at the British Parliament in June of 1982. Responding to cynics, to doubters, to naysayers who argue that there are some countries in the world that are just not fit for democracy, the American president said this, and I quote, "Democracy already flourishes in countries with very different cultures and historical experiences. It would be cultural condescension, or worse, to say that any people prefer dictatorship to democracy." End of quote. Time proved Reagan right, and many very diverse countries that were dictatorships when he delivered that speech, from Brazil to South Korea, from South Africa to the Philippines, have since become functioning democracies. If you looked on the Freedom House map of Europe in 1982, you would see half of the continent painted purple, not free. Today's Europe only has 2 unfree countries, Putin's Russia and Lukashenko's Belarus. I have no doubt that it is only a question of time when those 2 last purple stains on the map will change their color as well. And I say this not only as a historian, because over the long durée, the progress of human freedom is undeniable. I also say this as a Russian politician and as a Russian citizen, because I know my country and our people. Putin's propaganda wants you to believe that everyone in Russia supports his regime and his criminal war in Ukraine. But actions always speak louder than words. And the relentless drive and campaign of repression tells a very different story. Today's Russia holds thousands of political prisoners, more in fact than the whole of the Soviet Union did. That's 15 countries put together in the mid-1980s. Every day, on average, 5 people in Russia are targeted by some form of political repression, every single day. And while these figures do, of course, point to the unspeakable brutality of Putin's system, they also testify to the fact that there are many Russians who are unwilling to look the other way and become complicit in the regime's crimes by their silence. And while it saddens me beyond words to read every story of unlawful arrest, baseless prosecution, or a sham trial, it also makes me proud of my fellow citizens who are prepared to make a stand, even at the cost of their own freedom. These people, today's political prisoners, are Russia's conscience. They're also Russia's future, the leaders of tomorrow who will guide our country back to normality, back to democracy, back to civilization, once the Putin regime is finally gone and held to account for all its crimes. We do not know when that moment will come. It could be 5 years, it could be 3 months. Russia is known for its sudden and unpredictable turns. But whenever it comes, we must be ready, because too much depends on the success of that next chance. Because only a democratic Russia can ensure a peaceful and secure Europe. And because, as President Reagan said all those years ago, there is no nation in this world that is unfit for democracy. I thank you very much, and I look forward to the panel.